The Waking World, an original short story by Jared I. McGee. Waves crashing against the rocky shoreline. God, can I hear it? The impossibly turquoise water just off San Juan's coast. After a long day of wandering and seeing the historical sights and indulging in the culinary delights of Viejo San Juan, we find ourselves strolling down the beach, moving slowly toward our rented rooms, not wanting this perfect day to end as the sun begins to be more amber than clear, bright, tinged in gold. In this moment, neither of us has ever been happier. We laugh. We talk about small things, great things. We talk about anything but ourselves. Yet, in this moment, I know that, despite all of both of our fears, it is right for me to finally move away from an inundating, paralyzing cowardice and begin the life we both want. There, as the surf surges and retreats, I gather my courage, kneel down before you, bringing out the small ring that was all my father could afford for my mother back in 1978, and I ask you if you would share this life with me. You laugh. You cry. For several long moments, you do not give an answer. You simply hold your hands over your mouth and look out to the horizon, far beyond the shore. Those white caps in the distance mesmerize you. But you do eventually turn back to me, meeting my eyes with yours, and giving me a long, ear-to-ear smile accompanied by a breathless, heartfelt, and tear-filled yes. We hug, we kiss, we walk with a little more spring in our step in the direction of our rooms. We pick up some to-go ceviche and burritos from the little restaurant El Burro that we have come to love in the small amount of time we are vacationing in Puerto Rico. We go up to our rooms near Ocean Park, eat our food, and simply hold one another out on the balcony as the amber turns to black velvet and the little frogs constantly chirp, coqui, coqui, coqui. After 2 or 3 medallas, we finish with the balcony and make our way back into our bedroom, get ready for bed, and lie down, turning the newest Netflix show from Marvel on. We pay little attention to the program, choosing to hold one another, kiss lightly, and tell each other just how much we love one another until both of us drift to sleep. The next morning, I wake to you still in my arms, head on my chest. I cry. The tears just fall lightly down my cheeks, escaping like a slight rain rather than a downpour, clearly tears of love and devotion, past, present, and future. It's been a while since I've been religious, but I can't help but think this is what God had intended for both of our lives and our futures. Yet again, the sun has risen and is spilling its crystal and gold all over San Juan. Even through the blinds, another day shines in, letting me know that we are in for more Puerto Rican beauty and a gorgeous day to celebrate our first full day of engagement. The waves of Ocean Park crash rhythmically in the distance. I lean over and risk spilling some of my tears on your face. I kiss your forehead ever so lightly. Then, I do the same to your eyes. Finally, I barely kiss your lips, waking you in the process. You squeeze me even tighter than you did throughout the evening, and we smile with the unsaturated, unencumbered joy of children, openly touting our happiness and knowing that our futures are intertwined and that our lives will be shared and wonderful. I tell you that I love you, and that I cannot wait to be your husband. You choke up, mouth, "I love you," before regaining your voice. You smile even deeper and tell me how overjoyed you will be that you will so very soon be my wife. The waves continue to crash and crash, fading in and fading out, fading in and fading out. The waves continue to crash and crash, underscoring the perfection of this moment. That's when John wakes up. The waves are simply the wind outside of the window. Candace is nowhere to be seen. He is alone on the threadbare couch they used to nap on together. He is wearing the same clothes he has been in since Friday's after-work workout. He thinks it is now Sunday. He shakes his head, having trouble believing that all of this had been a dream. Moments ago, he had been holding Candace yet again in his arms on that vacation to end all vacations. But that dream did not recall it correctly, did it? What really happened was that John continued to be emotionally unavailable, terrified of what marriage and being a true adult might bring. Though he had had the opportunity to ask her to marry him, he had faltered and allowed his fear to stall his hand and stall his knee being bent. John had simply made awkward jokes and commented on the weather and the architecture and the blue cobblestones when, in truth, he should have been asking to begin the rest of his life with the one woman with whom he knew he was supposed to. In the wake of all those mistakes, more and more, John found himself sleeping the days away. He barely could function in his job, choosing to go into the realms of his subconscious and his fantasy instead of face the real world and the realities that he had not acted when he needed to act. Candace wasn't gone. She was just unavailable to him now, making the situation all the more terrible for him. John began to sleep as a hobby. The dreams were not always the ones he wanted. Nightmares came. Reality reflected came. Distortions that made the already heartbreaking truth even more harrowing came. But the majority of the time he fell asleep thinking of the life that he could have shared with his love. And so John would dream these dreams of having done something just a little differently, and thereby changing the course of their stars. John had no doubts that all the sleep and retreating into the unconscious world was unhealthy. But the alternative that he saw, the only alternative that he saw, was even more sinister. So, instead of self-harm, John chose to retreat into the land of Nod, as the old poem calls it. There he proposed to Candace easily 10 times a week. She always said yes, as she would have had he ever had the courage to do so in the real waking world. Sometimes, the dreams held the wedding instead. All smiles and dark stormy grays and vibrant goldenrod yellows. Their families would smile and love the event, coming together in a way that most couples can only dream of. John's father presides over the ceremony. Candace's father wears his dress uniform from the Navy to walk her down the aisle. They always wrote their own vows. John would sing a song to Candace, Everlong, by the Foo Fighters, playing guitar along with the string quartet he'd hired for the occasion. Candace glowed in her sleek white dress, her bronzed skin in such contrast to the lace and satins and trim. They would dance the night away, as their reception began in a gazebo filled with soft white lights, beginning their evening of doing so with Crazy in Love, a bow to their first dance in their heady days of courting one another, off in sun-soaked Southern California. But he would always wake. Often he forgot to eat for days at a time. He would not shower for weeks. The waking world was unimportant. Now, the waking world begins to wear thin. reminds me of when I used to get lost in books as a child, joining Aragorn and Taran, Lucy and Peter in their worlds so superior to mine. The slight tweaks to the past that the dream worlds bring allow me to cling to what little meaning I have left in this world. But that's disingenuous. That meaning is not in or of this world, is it? Too many questions and too little substance to continue that line of thought. I roll over and close my eyes, knowing that sleep will come and save me from the hell of this waking world. Waves. Waves crashing against the rocky shoreline. God, can I hear it? The impossibly turquoise water just off San Juan's coast. After a long day of wandering and seeing the historical sights of Viejo San Juan, we find ourselves strolling down the beach, moving ever so slowly toward our rented rooms, not wanting this perfect day to end as the sun begins to be more amber than clear bright tinged in gold. In this moment, neither of us has ever been happier. We laugh. We talk about small things, great things. We talk about anything but ourselves. Yet, in this moment, I know that despite all of both of our fears, it is right for me to finally move away from an inundating, paralyzing cowardice and begin the life we both want. There, as the surf surges and retreats, I gather my courage, kneel down before you, bringing out the small ring that was all my father could afford for my mother back in 1978. And I ask you if you would share this life with me. You laugh. You cry. For several long moments, you do not give an answer. This scares me. You simply hold your hands over your mouth and look out to the horizon far beyond the shore. Seemingly, those white caps in the distance mesmerize you, but you do eventually turn back to me, meeting my eyes with yours and giving me a long ear-to-ear smile, accompanied by a breathless, heartfelt, and tear-filled yes. Thank you for listening to The Waking World. All sounds present come from freesound.org. The ocean waves come from Rusisco, and the piano track comes from Soundathon. The tracks are being used under CC0 1.0 Universal Public Domain dedication licenses. Next up is the penultimate part to the multi-part science fiction short story Sunball. This portion is titled Part 4, The Fallout.